is a brief tutorial on how to do the mottling on your baby's skin. It's going to be hard to show up. It looks way darker than it does in person. And this is my practice arm. When I first started reborning, this was the arm that I experimented on. So this arm is not a good example. It's way too red and there's way too much mottling on it. But it's all I've got. So just for the purposes of showing you how to do it, I'm going to use this ugly arm. This side isn't as bad. Maybe I can show you on... It might show up there. Okay. So this is what I do. And please bear with me. I don't have a tripod, so I'm doing the best I can. So what I do is I use my odorless thinner, and I use these little paint wells. What I'll do is I'll fill one of the wells almost full, very full, because what you want is a very, very thin layer. I will take out a little bitty scoop, just a little bitty scoop of this color. Now, I buy a set of pre-mixed colors from Bountiful Baby, and a lot of people mix their own, but I've found they work really great and I don't need to. The most I've ever got for a baby, one of my babies, is $5.75, and that's with pre-mixed colors. So if you do it right, pre-mixed is good. So one color they have is Warm Blush. I don't use that. I use the other color, and I don't have the label on it anymore, but it comes with the set, and it's sort of red. I'm not sure what the name of it is, but it'll be with the set. And you can buy the whole set off of Bountiful Baby, and you can find them on eBay as a set too. It'll definitely come with it. So I don't use the Warm Blush, I use the other dark reddish color. So I get a little bitty, just a little bitty scoop, and I use these clay tools, and I will put it in the odorless thinner, which should be up to the almost up to the top. I will mix it really well with a paintbrush. Mix it, mix it, mix it, and make sure there's no clumps. If there is a clump, sneak it over to the next well because you're going to use that later. So just make sure if you do have a clump, you wipe your brush really good so you won't get too much red in here. Or, I don't know what you would call it, but that should be very, very, very thin. It looks too dark on here. That's because it's not full, but very, very thin layer. It's still going to look dark no matter what you do because it's a reddish color. But anyway, let me switch hands and hopefully I won't mess up the sound. Okay, so once you've got it all mixed, what you're going to want is a cosmetic sponge. This is what I like to use. Some people like to use these, the sea sponge. But my favorite method is this. You're going to get some tweezers and you're going to make these little chunky holes. You're going to pull out the holes and make sure that the edges are done and the corners are done. And this is going to be your skin texture, not texture, but the look of mottling. So this is how I do it. Okay, once I have the little holes pulled out, I get my paintbrush, I load it in here, and I put it on the, let me try to do this. I put it on the sponge, like that. Okay, once that's done, you're going to want to blot your sponge. So, blot, blot. There you go. And it's going to be very thin again, very, very, very thin. Oop, how'd I do that? I got a mess on my baby arm. So then you go to the experimental arm, which seriously, if you have a baby part, experiment first, okay? And I usually do 3 very thin layers first and bake between each layer obviously. So you get your sponge and you just do that on your baby and make sure you turn the sponge or it'll all look like one direction. I see people not doing that. You have to make it like this or you're going to have the same pattern on the arm. So do that. Dunk, 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 all over the baby. So that would be my first layer. I can't talk again. And I would bake it. Then when it's done, I do another very thin layer, bake it. One more time, thin layer, bake it. It should be very, very discreet, very, what's the word? Just very thin. The color should be very, very thin, very light. So on my last layer, after I've baked the other three different times, because you bake after each layer, I will get my little cosmetic thingy, and I'll go over to the well with the chunks in it, and I'll add some of that to the chunks, okay? And wipe it off. Then you add it to your sponge again. Then you blot your sponge again. Blot, blot, blot. And it's going to be a little darker this time on your sponge. I didn't actually load it, but it'll be darker. I like to do this because I want the mottling to show up more. You don't want to go crazy. You don't want it to be really ugly and red. You don't want to do that. So you just kind of, on the last layer, if it looks too dark, then take a little more off. Blot, blot, blot. So anyway, what I find when I do the very last one darker, it just shows better. It looks real because you have the other thin layers under it. So, and it depends how much you want your baby look modeled. Some people like it really dark and some people like it light. I like it medium. So, kind of like a newborn, like maybe a few hours old. That's how I like it. So you do the whole body like that. Just doom, 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 and you bake that last layer. And by this time, after doing the 3 thin layers and doing this last thicker layer, your baby's arms should look wonderful. And can you see the mottling? Let's try to find a good example. Kind of. It's hard when it's not actually baked. And plus I wasn't using... You can see the little holes. Okay, it won't look that red and harsh when your baby is done, but it'll have like little hole type things. Some people like to do this. I like the whole look, but you can also do this and put your paint on the sponge and then go over like that. I don't like that, but some people love that. On the face, you will do the same thing. You will model on the face the same way. Just be really careful on the last layer you don't get it too red. You don't want this crazy red baby. And my cat's going to drive me crazy. She's being bad. So anyway, on the face, be really careful. Don't overdo the face. It's better to underpaint it because you can fix that. But don't overpaint it. Make sure it's not red, red, red because you see that so often. You see that mistake so often where the baby's face is just crazy red. So sometimes I do use this as, like say my head is all done. I've got like the flesh and the veining and all the mottling is done on the head and baked. Sometimes I will do this and add just a little bit of red on there and just kind of do that on the cheeks a little bit, and it does have kind of a neat effect after this mottling is done. But after you have the whole baby modeled, that's when I do the capillaries on the face, I do little scratches on the face, I do milk bumps on the face. That's when I do those details, but that'll be in a different video. I hope I helped you guys. I'm trying to think if I didn't cover anything. I think I got it all. So let me recap on a few important things. Try to fill that to the rim. A little bitty scoop, not a big one, just a little bitty scoop. Get it all, like blend it all up with your brush. Make sure there's no chunks. If you do have a chunk, move it over here. And another reason you want to move it over there is when you're done mottling. This is when I do my scratches and my capillaries. You put this little tiny brush right through it and it works so much better. But that's a different video. So anyway, you've got that all stirred up very thin. I like to do 3 layers. You can get away with 2, but very thin mottling layers. And you bake after each layer. So I do 1 layer, bake, another layer, bake. And let's say you only did 2. So the very last layer I like to make a little darker because I like the way it looks that way. So I will kind of, you know, have this and just put a little bit of the heavier stuff in and then blot it here, and then you get it on your, where's my sponge? You get it on your sponge and put it on there, and then you blot your sponge, probably 2-3 times, and then this last one's a little bit darker so you can get that cool newborn look. If it looks too dark, take it off. Redo it again. But you will have something, oh, see this right here? Wait, that's bad. Do that. Okay. You have something like little tiny holes. Remember, this is my practice arm. It looks like crap, and I don't have anything really to show you. So that is how I do it. You do it all over the baby. You bake between each layer, and there you have your skin. So my next video will be on how to do capillaries and scratches and milk bumps. I hope this helped. I really did. If you have any questions or if I forgot anything, please send me a message, comments. I hope I helped. I think I got it all. So thanks for watching. Let me know if it helped. Bye, guys.